We go harness racing at Albion Park this Saturday night. 10 races, a little later start time on Saturday night. Action getting underway at 6:23. But all in all, it's a really strong program. In this edition of Weekend Winners, I plan to track down Pete McMullen, Matt Elkins and Paul Dybert. I'm keen to get their thoughts on their drives for this weekend. Pete McMullen with a good book of drives on Saturday night, and he's straight into the action in the first with Tin Roof Raider. Pete, this guy took on the big boys last week, his first go at open class, and I think he passed that test with flying colours. Really good running third.
Yeah, I was super happy with him. He's a horse we don't usually bustle him too hard early, and last week I bustled him pretty hard to try and get a good spot, and got a super hard mile, 52 and change, and he was still hitting the line strong. So it's probably only his best run to date, and he seems super this week, so the gate's probably a little bit tricky this week. Probably going to need a few things to go our way, especially with Zarvin Benner sort of there. He's going to want to run hard, and we'll see what happens. But he's certainly a horse that's in super form.
Well, you've got plenty of speed on your inside, Zarvin Banner on your immediate outside, so it could get a little tricky. You'll have to be thinking on the spot here.
Yeah, definitely, but probably used him a little bit last week. At least we sort of know where we stand. We know we can do a little bit and still be able to finish off.
All right, well, he's certainly going well. Tin Roof Raider. The following race 2, Field of the Rain. I thought this little guy was courageous last week. He kept fighting all the way to the line, just went down narrowly behind Random Task.
Yeah, his last 2 runs have been really good. He's been in front both times, and he's been probably looked the winner and just got a bit tired late. But both times he's been entitled to get tired. He runs some pretty slick sectionals, and last week Random Task was able to run him down. Had a nice little trip there and behind, tucked him behind there, and when it's in open space, it got to us pretty quick. But he really fought hard all the way to the line. So this week at the back there, going to have to obviously drive him a little bit different, but certainly racing well.
He's a horse that's very capable at the mile, but when you look at his credentials over the 2,138 metres, he's very capable. His record's quite good.
Yeah, I think he's a better miler, but when you look at his record, he's actually still run some really good races over the trip. And one night there at Albion, he ran a really, really strong 2,100 metres. So he's shown that he can do it. Okay,
Corey William, race 4, comes up at the inside gate. He seems to thrive when he's in front, so can he lead all the way and take this?
Yeah, he's a horse that's definitely better in front. He's got good gate speed, got the draw in his favour this week. 2,100 is, probably the downfall, but in saying that, he did win over 2,100 there a few starts ago, so he can certainly be in with a really good chance.
All right, and race 9, Innocent Crocker. Only the 8 runners. Is she starting to sort of get that feeling back that she's nearing a return to the winner's circle?
Yeah, I think so. The first few starts back this campaign have probably been a little bit disappointing. In saying that, she's been up in class and running some really good times. And last week her run looked super. Times probably weren't as good, but I think she's going to get a chance this week. Drawn the 8, got a few options with no other horse on the second line. And she's definitely on the improve and getting better week to week. So. I think she's sort of back to where she needs to be.
Well, there looks to be a lot of pressure off the front row, so the fact that you don't have to use her early here sort of enhances her chances.
Yeah, definitely, and you can sort of make excuses for her past few starts. Obviously last week she got held up in the start before that in front, which was, definitely wasn't the plan, and she wanted to go a bit too hard, and, we'll sort of put a pen through that run. And so if we can sort of get back to how she sort of likes to race and not have to burn her early and get a nice cold sit, I think she'll be finishing off very strong.
All right, it's a solid book of drives for you again on Saturday night. What's the one that stands out most?
I'm probably looking forward to Innocent Crocker the most. Obviously you got a few things there we've got to sort of try and avoid. But I'm sort of getting excited about her campaign. I think it's starting to wind up.
All right, appreciate the time. We'll see you trackside.
Thank you.
Matt Elkins is now joining us, and we start, Matt, by looking at race 2, Takatimu Express. Second row draw, but that's not a bad thing for this guy, given his style of racing. As long as he can get that little sit locked away somewhere, he's always competitive.
Yeah, no, he's a pretty hot and cold horse. He can sort of peel off really good runs and then every now and again chuck in a bad one. But the second row draw really does suit him. We sort of normally tuck him away on the fence, so I'll sit in the running line and come with 1 run late. So the draw is probably ideal for him anyway.
Speaking of good runs, it was a good run and probably a little unlucky last time out. Didn't have a great deal of racing room over the latter part, so he's going well enough, so he's well in here.
Yeah, no, it was a very good run against probably better horses. I probably made a couple of little mistakes myself trying to drive him cold and keep him on a helmet as long as I could. And when I got him to the outside in the straight, he actually made up really good ground, a good quarter and a good mile. So he's racing really well.
Do you prefer him at the mile or Saturday night's distance, 2,138 metres?
I think probably 21 probably does suit him because they saw me. He's probably fit enough and they keep running. He just keeps getting home at the same speed anyway, so it doesn't sort of bother him which trip he's at.
Okay, well that's Takatimu Express, race 2. Race 4, Speechcraft. The obvious question here, it can either be a really good draw or a really bad draw, depending on what happens with one Corey William.
Yeah, no, that's it. He had plenty of luck last week from one. We made the options of holding up and then letting the right horse go. This week I draw him on the second line, so it's out of our hands. But I think Corey William is a well-known leader, and I'd say he'll be trying to hold up over the trip, and we should get a good trailer long run from there.
Well, if that scenario plays out, he's going to be hard to beat Speechcraft because he was strong and the sectionals back it up last week.
Yeah, no, he was. It was a pretty good, strong last 1,200 of that race, and it probably is a little step up in grade, but the draw definitely helps, and I think he'll be sitting behind leaders back and be right in the money there.
He looks like he's a horse that's going to do a nice job here in Brisbane. He's slowly getting used to the style, but once he fully adapts, he's going to be a good money spinner.
Yeah, no, I really liked him the first day. I sort of drove him in track work. I said to Dad that he'll do a really good job up here, and he sort of proved us right and just kept getting better and better.
All right, race 10, the last, Jumping Jolt. Bad draw here, gate 7. How do you sort of play this one?
Yeah, the gate hurts. It's pretty ugly from 7 out there. It's probably not an overly strong band 5 race, so we'll just go back and hope there's a bit of tempo and we can try and sneak into some money late there.
His last start third was a good run.
Yeah, no, he's very consistent and he's never far away. It's just the draws probably hurt him and you can't sort of put him into it when he draws bad, but if things go his way, he's always thereabouts.
All right, well, I'm tipping that Speechcraft is the pick of the 3 drives we've just discussed.
Yeah, no, definitely, especially with that draw is a big bonus for him.
All right, appreciate the time. We'll see you trackside.
Thank you.
Paul Dybert now joins us to discuss some of his drives for Saturday night. And Paul, we'll get straight into it. Race 1, Tullerhurst Ace. Not a kind draw, second row, but he's probably facing a little bit of a class drop here.
Yeah, and he's been racing real well too of late. I wouldn't worry about his form because he has been racing against a lot of harder horses. The draw doesn't suit us, but there's plenty of speed on the front line. It's over a mile, and he loves the mile.
Is that the key, that they just go 100 miles an hour early, gives you a chance to, wind up late?
Yeah, definitely. Doesn't matter what else you drive, especially on Saturday nights. You need the speed on early, especially when you draw the back line over a mile, just so they come back to you. But he is racing real well.
The effort 2 starts ago when he was placed was a good run and against a horse that's in really good form.
Yeah, with Sam and run a lot, real slick last half. I think it was 54 and a half. So, no, he's racing better than his form suggests.
Okay. Race 5, this is a race for the mares. Matron Jujon, last time you drove this mare, she was placed and, she's probably been a little off at a pass too, but she's capable of a bounce-back performance here.
Definitely, it's a very evenly mare race. We do need luck to go our way. She's just keeps whacking away. Doesn't really have high speed and not tough enough to get into the race either. So just need a bit more luck to go our way, and she should be fighting out the finish.
Would you prefer her at the 2,138 metres compared to the mile, or it doesn't really matter with her?
Oh, well, last time I drove her over 2,100, I was parked out and I was gone. So it's more that she just needs the race to go her way instead of, yeah.
Okay. Race 8, this is the trot, and this is going to be a competitive race. It's a capacity-sized field. You're back aboard Rain On Me. You've had the 3 drives on this mare. You're yet to miss the board. She was unplaced last time out. That was the day you were a little ill. You didn't take the drive. What happened that day?
She was off 30 and too hard for her. She does have a lot of issues, but training Granny's gotten on top of him and must be happy with her, so he's starting us this Saturday night and she's got a better handicap, so no, she should race better. But yeah, just hopefully she does everything right and can trot and be nice and settled like she was in the heats and finals of the Group 1 race.
Well, if she produces that type of form throughout that series, she's going to be very hard to beat here.
No, too right, but last run she just never looked tractable at all and didn't really want to even catch up to the field and just wasn't herself. But he's changed a bit through the week and he's happy with her.
Okay, could be all in their hands there on Saturday night. You go back aboard, she might just spark up again and find that good groove. So they're the 3 drives that we've discussed. Is she the pick of them, Rain On Me?
Nah, Tullerhurst Ace is my pick. Rain On Me,
we just don't know where she's at.
Okay, well, appreciate the tip and the time. We'll see you trackside.
Thank you.
Hopefully there's a winner or two to be found on Saturday night. I think we've got to be patient and wait for the very last race. Race 10, number 1, our Bondi Beach. He finally comes up with a draw. It looks a very winnable race, and it gives Nathan Dawson options here. He can either try for an all-the-way victory or take a sit. Either scenario, he's going to be right in the firing line. So be patient, wait for the last. Race 10, number 1, our Bondi Beach. Good punting at Albion Park this weekend.